So hi, I am Shiravani. That's my nickname, and I have been working on research report paper as my contribution to the Sentient project. So the paper is called the Open Intelligence Paradigm, which is an quantitative analysis of architectural openness and computational utility in contemporary AI systems. And I'm going to walk through about what this paper is about. But first, let me give you some important disclaimer. Is that this paper represents my independent research and analysis based on publicly available information. Okay, so here the views or the interpretations and the projections in this paper are entirely my own, and I do not represent any financial advice or investment recommendations or any guaranteed predictions about future outcomes, because the AI market is highly volatile and unpredictable. Okay, and any claims about future market dominance or any competitive advantages should be understood as speculative analysis, not established facts. So I am not affiliated with any sentient team, and beyond being an absolute community contributor, and this work was done independently and mainly to give some contributions. So I was research. I was going about educator roles and some other roles for EJ and all. And when it comes to educator, most of them were like tweets and threads, which had some incomplete educations. So we can't tell or express our important information just in form of like tweets and all. So I had some different idea to create a whole report paper. So I was working on this report paper more than 8 days till this date right now. And I also want to clarify that I only use DI tools to help in the creations of the diagrams. Okay, I used LaTeX, which is an language to use to write these kind of report papers, and I am using Overleaf, as you can see in the screen right now. I also uploaded this in GitHub too. You can check it out. And all this is done by my independent research. Okay, and it took me over a week, and it was more work. And let's start about this. So the core question is I am exploring is pretty straightforward. Can open source AI systems actually compete with the big closed players like OpenAI and Anthropic? We all heard like closed systems are just better, right? Like they have more money, more resources, or more expertise. But is that actually true? So to answer this, I developed something called this openness utility index. Like think of it as an scoring systems that look at two things, like how open an AI system is and how useful it actually is in practice. So let me show you the figures. Most of the time here I'll explaining about the figures. To read about the full report paper, you can go to my actual report. I also published in the website too. And sorry for my bad English, and English is not my mother tongue. So sorry. And this let me show you the figure too. This breaks down how I score openness. There are 5 components, okay, each worth 0 to 2 points. So first are the models weight available, like can you actually download and run the model yourself. Second is like, is the training data transparent, like do we know what data was used to train this thing, okay. And the third is, can you reproduce the training process, like is the code available. And the fourth point is, can you run it on your own infrastructure, or you logged into someone's cloud. And the fifth question was, who controls the governance, is it corporation or community. So I wanted these questions. So when you add this up, you get a score from 0 to 10. So 0 means completely closed, like OpenAI or Anthropic. 10 means maximum openness across every dimension. So now let's look at utility. In figure 3, I made some breakdown here. I am measuring 4 things: factual retrieval accuracy and a complex reasoning capability, multi-agent orchestrations. Like that's how well it coordinates multiple specialized AI agents and real-world application breadth. So again, from 0 to 10 only, I chose like this. And here's what it gets interesting is, when you look at figure 4, this is the openness utility matrix. The x-axis is openness and the y-axis is utility. I plotted all the major AI systems here. So you can see GPT-4 and Claude. They are in quadrant 2, high utility but 0 openness. They are good, I know, they are big companies, multi-billion-dollar companies, but they are completely closed when it comes to the infrastructure data and all. Now when we look at the sentient system, OpenDeep Search and ROMA, which are in quadrant 1, both high openness and high quality also. This is where the first time I am seeing an AI achieving this combination. Usually systems are either open or but with weak, or powerful but closed. Like there are multiple open source systems, but they are like a little bit weaker and not that much good as these closed systems like OpenAI or Cloud, Anthropic or Gemini. Sentient is showing that maybe you can be a both. So let me show you how actual benchmark results are in the table 2, where in the frames benchmark that takes factual retrieval and multi-hop reasoning. Sentient's open deep research scores like 75.3%. Compare if we compare to GPT-4, which is like in 65%, like that's 10-point lead for the open system. On my simple question was like which test basic faculty, like Sentient scores 88.3% compared to GPT-4's 90%, which was almost basically tied. But here's the main part is like on the CL0, like which tests search augmented reasoning under really difficult conditions. Sentient ROMA framework scores like 45%. The next close competitor was Kimi Researcher, which gets only 36%, and 19%, which is like a Gemini 2.5 Pro advanced reasoning model, like which is also a massive gap when we have Gemini in the last thing. And in the table 3, where it shows the openness scores, Sentient gets a perfect 10 out of 10, whereas closed models like GPT-4 or Cloud Perplexity, Gemini, where they are 0. DeepSeek, which is an Chinese-based deep reasoning model, which releases some model weights, but they keep everything else closed also, which almost like 5 out of 10. Now, why does this matter? Let me show you the figure 1. This chart the adoption timeline of major open source technologies. Linux took 17 years to dominate these servers, so it was not that much easy. But when we look at the most recent ones, Android took like 5 years to dominate this mobile industry, and Kubernetes took some 5 years to dominate the container orchestrations. The pattern is very clear that open source infrastructure is winning faster and faster. At older times it used to take time, but right now it's taking less time. So my analysis suggests that AI might follow the same path if sentient systems maintains competitive performance, and this benchmark suggests they can. And then based on historical patterns, we might see OpenAI infrastructures are dominated by 28 or in 2030 maybe. And in the figure 5, break down the grid architecture. This is the Sentient's decentralized intelligence layer. Instead of one central server controlling everything, it distributes like all over across multiple nodes. How Kubernetes manages the containers, but it is for like AI agents. In the figure 6, I showed like how ROMA's recursive system structure works. Like when you give it a complex task, it breaks it down into subtasks. Figure out the best order to do things, excessive each pieces, then synthesize everything back together, and it can do this recursively. Okay, that is also main part. If a substract is still too complex, it breaks that down further. This hierarchical approach is why it performs so well on the different difficult benchmarks. So one thing another I found fascinating in my research is the economic angle. When you see the table 4 compares cost structures, so OpenAI probably spends like $6 to $7 billion annually on R&D and compute, right? It is big amount. And a sentient distribution model, like it spends around some 100 or $150 million, which is like 40 to 70 times efficient advantage. So even if sentient systems are slightly behind on some benchmarks, they can iterate way more than in the cost structure also. And in the table 5, I draw like parallels between Linux and Sentient. Like both provides core infrastructure, but both have modular architectures also. Like they both uses distributed development. The governance models are different. Linux has Linux and maintenances and all, whereas Sentient uses the community devs, but structural similarities are like a striking thing. And another thing is I was really clear about this is all these projections about future market dominance are speculative. Like I am drawing these patterns from history and all the information that are in the world right now, and it may be different in many ways. The regulatory environment is like uncertain, right? Like the big players have massive resources. Network effects could lock in existing systems. What I can say with confidence is this: for the first time, we are seeing in open source AI systems that can genuinely compete on performance benchmarks with the best closed systems, which is new and is also significant. Whether that translates to market itself, we have to wait and see. Like, we can't tell it right now only. The full paper goes deeper into the methodologies and the architectures and the economic analysis and all. It's like 40 pages with extensive references. I used most of the information from the references. Like, there are some 100 references which I mentioned in the report paper. If you are interested in the complete analysis, you can check out in the paper which I have published. I'll put the link and I'll also put the GitHub link to here in the next tweet. This represents like it was like over a week of independent research, writing and analysis and all. So I love to dive deep into these benchmarks and all, and to analyze market data and try to build some comprehensive picture of where OpenAI infrastructure stands or stood and where it might be headed. So thanks for watching, and feel free to check out the full paper for all the details which where I couldn't cover in this video. It is too much detailed I written, okay. And if you want to, like, if there is any wrong thing and if you want to do any changes, we can come up with newer versions. You can reach out to me in Twitter only. I hope this contributed to Sentient in either a small part. So if anyone likes this video, please share it with the Sentient team so that it get a maximum views, okay, because this is my first video as in explaining about these things. Thank you.